Harry Wilkinson's here, Head of Policy at the Global Warming Policy Foundation. Harry, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
A couple of stories this morning to catch your interest, aside from the disaster that's HS2, of course, which might as well be renamed LS2, given that it's not going to travel at high speed and it's certainly not going to be very green. Ed Miliband is apparently giving the go-ahead to some drilling in the North Sea. Has somebody caught him on a bad day?
Well, this certainly comes as a big surprise to me. It's very welcome, of course, because these resources that we have in the North Sea, not only are they great for jobs here in the UK, for tax revenue that we can collect rather than send to other countries, but it's also good for emissions, because if we're using our own oil and gas, we're not having to import that, tank it, possibly, in the case of gas, actually, compress that gas for shipment and then decompress it. All of these are very energy intensive processes. And of course, using our own domestic supplies means we don't have to do all of that. So, it makes perfect sense. He should have seen the logic of this much sooner. And there's still a lot of things that we're concerned about in terms of the barriers Labour is putting up to North Sea oil and gas extraction.
Yeah, I mean, it really does show you, though, that the kind of, the absolute zealotry with which he does everything else does have the occasional hole in it. He does occasionally do something sensible. So, which must mean that, he's not absolutely and utterly drawn and wedded to this as much as he says.
Well, you have to wonder how reluctant this decision was. Was he forced into this by some other ministers within the cabinet who could see the logic that he couldn't, and therefore continually pressed him to make this decision, or is this a genuine change of heart? I think only time will tell. I certainly hope he has had a change of heart, because these matters could not be more serious. We now have industrial electricity prices that are 4 times what they pay in the United States. We are being crippled on the energy front as a country. So new energy supplies is a vital new thing that we need.
Yeah, but there is a backlash, isn't there? And the big problem for Ed Miliband is that with the way the Labour government is currently dealing with sort of public opinion, with every week that passes, they make yet another U-turn. I mean, some of us were surprised that he got so much money in the spending review. But surely Keir Starmer's next kind of place of rolling back some of the Labour policy will have to be the net zero campaign, won't it?
It will. Net zero is fundamentally a straitjacket that is holding our country back, and it fundamentally misunderstands how industrial progress happens. We hear from Ed Miliband that we can have this green industrial revolution. He's recently said that he's determined to win this fight.
Yeah.
However, industrial revolutions happen because people innovate, people create technologies that people would want to buy without being forced to do so.
Yeah.
However, the net zero approach from the start has always been about telling people, you must have this technology, you must buy an electric car, you must have a heat pump. This has been a policy of dictatorial sort of mandating of technology. So, net zero will have to look very, very different if it's not to fall into some of the kind of picking winners traps that governments have fallen into in the past.
No, exactly right. And of course, yesterday he was speaking at an offshore wind conference in London. The only good thing about it was that he didn't have to fly anywhere to actually get there. And he comes out with all this kind of rhetoric, which means nothing. We are witnessing the coming of age of Britain's green industrial revolution. We are building this new era of clean energy abundance, helping deliver new jobs, energy security and lower household bills through our plan for change. He keeps saying that. He's not getting any lower household bills. Bills are going to go down a bit because we're in the summer now, and the price cap's coming down a bit, I think, by 100 quid. The new jobs he's delivering don't exist. Energy security doesn't exist. And apart from that, it's all good. And then it turns out he's giving yet more money away to our good friend Jürgen over at GB Energy. They're going to get another £300 million in offshore wind money, which they can hand out to somebody who's going to make a profit out of it.
It's just the same sort of language that we've heard from multiple previous energy secretaries. That's what is important to remember here. This isn't, and none of this is new with Ed Miliband. We've heard this kind of language from multiple previous energy secretaries, Conservative, and going back before the previous government, and they've all promised this green industrial revolution. They've promised lower bills, but what's happened? Energy bills have risen and risen and risen. We're now paying, almost as much for policy costs, carbon taxes, and renewable energy subsidies as we are for the wholesale price of electricity itself. So, this is a staggering cost that's being faced by the British public. It's been rising and rising. We've heard this language time and time again. And Miliband's just created another quango in Great British Energy, more money to throw away at renewables. It's supposed to be a mature technology by now. So why does it need to be continually subsidized? If it's going to bring down bills, why do you need to subsidise it? And Miliband has to answer these fundamental questions.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, if only he would come on this show and he would be asked a few fundamental questions, but he never does. But thank you very much indeed. Harry Wilkinson there, Head of Policy at the Global Warming Policy Foundation.